your conversations fail and how to fix them like a pro. Have you ever walked away from a conversation thinking, what just happened? You came to connect, but left feeling dismissed, possibly misunderstood, or worse, attacked. Let me ask you something. Have you ever technically said the right thing, but it still went wrong? Like you said it confidently and you thought you were clear, maybe even assertively, but the other person heard, I'm smarter than you, and also, you're kind of an idiot. Yeah, that's a tone, and not the words, was the real message. Today, I am unpacking why your conversation might be failing, even though you're using all the right words, and trust me, I learned this the hard way. I get it. Understand that all of this which I speak of today is learned behavior, passed down through generations. If you notice it impacting your lives and/or relationships, I encourage you to evaluate why that is and do something about it. After all, we are the average of the 5 people we choose to surround ourselves with. So, who are you choosing? Someone I really admire and who I referred in discussions related to communication was the late Abraham Lincoln. He was able to get people in his circle in the most unaggressive and unassuming way. When he ran for the Republican Party, he was a no-name, and he was not a clear winner opposed to the others who deserved the party. But Lincoln, lo and behold, won. What he did was invite those people into his cabinet. It went from everyone hating him to everyone liking him and even sobbing at his funeral. They couldn't imagine what the world would be like without him. He did it so well. I want to give you some perspective today and hopefully shift your mind. It's not what you say, it's where you're speaking from. I grew up in a home with little conflict. True story. Because my brother and I had space and age, I was essentially the only child. For me, witnessing my friends' home and the interactions that they had, in my eyes was peaceful and calm. But when I stepped into adulthood, into dating and school, business, and even the courtrooms, and eventually into divorce strategy, I realized the behavior wasn't normal. People were not calm. They were performing. They were reacting to one another. They were ready to shoot those arrows, but not starting conversation. It was curated and others silent. And simply, I just wanted to know why people talked, but never really truly listened or heard the words were being spoken. They spoke, but did not connect. This is why I am so passionate about being a thoughtful communicator. You are still able to get your point through, across, diplomatically, and in a way that leaves an opening for ongoing communication. Now, I want to share that sometimes with discernment, we must all set boundaries with those who may have abused the power to communicate effectively with us. So choose wisely and carefully who you choose to engage with. And regardless, today I am going to show you how to pick with 3 of my masterful communication C's. That is control, confidence, and connection. The 3 things I know can change every conversation. It will go fast, so pay attention and be certain to leave a comment and let me know if this resonates with you. And while we are in the topic, something further I wish for you to consider. What if most of our conversations are actually auditions? You're not trying to connect. You're trying to prove something. And let's be real. Some of y'all are arguing like you're on Shark Tank instead of a brunch. Every conversation is a test. Now, will you pass it? Or will you settle? 1. Stay in control. Before you open your mouth, breathe. 2 seconds in, relax, then speak. That pause is your power. Because here's the thing. Most people aren't trying to communicate. They are trying to win. And that's the fastest way to lose a relationship. So be quick to listen and slow to speak. What I'm asking you to consider is to pause before you react. The calmest person in the room is usually the one with the most control. This is what I want you to do. When you are insulted, say to them, "Did you mean to sound short?" Or you can consider saying this one, "I'm surprised you said that out loud." It gives them a way out and it keeps your integrity intact. Or how about someone says, "Oh, wow, you are actually looking good today." And you say, "Was that meant to be a compliment or a critique?" That is grace with backbone. I don't know if you've ever noticed how executives say very little in their responses when you are communicating with them via text or even email. For one, they have very little time to write first and foremost. They're taking care of other issues. And 2, what they want, they say it with authority. Try to shift your mind with that perspective. Say less and listen more. 2, say it with confidence. Let me tell you, confidence isn't loud. It's listening more and saying less. For example, in your email or your text, you say, "Just checking in because I haven't heard from you." Let me tell you, what you're doing is checking yourself out of your power. Ask for what you want. The more words you use, the less credible you sound. Every great attorney knows this. Remove those verbal filters, if you will, like the ums, the just, and like they say here in California, like, or "I hate to bother you, but can I?" All these words, they undercut your presence. Replace over apologizing with gratitude. Instead of saying, "Sorry I'm late," consider saying, "Thank you for your patience." There is a level of grace that comes in that shows you have tact, you're diplomatic in your approach, opposed to saying, "Look, you're late. Where have you been?" You set the tone for that conversation, and as a result, there is greater opportunity for engagement because there's obviously a goal in mind. 3, say it to connect. Oh, this is huge. Your words aren't just tools. They're levers. And your job is to move the other person, not to win the argument. I know sometimes you may like a heated debate, but in relationships, you don't want to win. You don't want to win an argument. Otherwise, you can assure you will lose the relationship or that person. In family law, I've seen couples divorce not because of infidelity or finances, but because they couldn't articulate what they needed without hurting each other, or worse, insulting each other. I have found under various settings throughout my lifetime in the legal exchange in family law, specifically in custody evaluations between parents, which leaves much to be desired. And like is the case in dating, understand that in engagement, what may mean to someone whom you are speaking to may be totally radically different to them. This is precisely why I do what I do. I help families and couples alike avoid these communication pitfalls, and the way I get them to identify with my solution is to provide them with the tools like the ones I am sharing with you today. And by the way, they are game changers, even with our children. I will share that the moment after I found the solution, I took action to implement, and today I offer courses on this topic for both my relationship and divorce courses, which, by the way, one of my favorite topics included is body language. It says it all. So let's set the frame. Start with, I'd like to talk about something that matters to me. My goal is for you to understand, even if we do not agree. Your challenge, instead of arguing or thinking, they're coming here to try to give me a lecture, you can take the stance of unraveling the situation and say, help me find the knot. What am I missing here? This opens them to be more receptive to you and what you have to say, especially if they are already guarded, which is mostly the case when you have to go to someone to try to explain or ask them to do something for you. When someone is rude, please understand that what they want is your emotions. Instead of engaging and showing them those emotions, you can respond by saying, that's below my standard for a response. Now you're leading the conversation, not reacting to it, for a silent comeback to put the light back to them. Alternatively, you can ask them to repeat what they say, and it just kind of somewhat shocks them. That often helps them recognize the tone in which they responded and the words they used towards you. As we close, I'd like to give you some thoughts. The most impactful voices are not always the loudest. They are the ones who know when to pause. Silence is golden, my friends. Words can be water. They can cool a fire and feed a garden. Which will you choose? Take one tip today, anything that may have resonated in any of my 3 points that I've shared with you. Use it in your next conversation. Test it and see, and then watch how everything changes. Small actions every day, when you apply them consciously, will change things. It's the way we choose to communicate with others. Every conversation has a ripple effect, and I speak to this topic on my Relationships Never Settle book. The most impactful voices are not always the loudest, but the ones who know when to pause. If any of this content is resonating with you, please be certain to like, comment, and tap on that bell. I would love to hear from you.